Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Well, good evening and good morning from this side of the globe. Welcome to Sound Candy Talk, Open Forum Political Show. It's 12:30 a.m. here in Nairobi, and my name is Douglas. A little bit late, but early enough to hear the echoes of war as they tear our country apart. Now, before we begin the show, I just want to remind you to share out the video, and so that you may invite more people to come and engage with us and participate in this conversation that has sparked outrage in the country today. Remember to subscribe if you've not subscribed. If you're here and you've not subscribed, remember to subscribe. We are live on YouTube on our main channel, Sound Candy Talk Live, on our backup channel too, Sound Candy Talk. I suggest you subscribe to both channels just in case. And we are live on Facebook also on Sound Candy Talk. Welcome to the show. Remember to hit me with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But just remember to react to the video and share it out. Invite more people into the show so that we may participate in this conversation together. I'm going to be sending out the invite link into the studio if you want to be part of the panel that will be helping me in this discourse. I'm going to be sending out the invite link. It will be available on Facebook and our 2 YouTube channel. Click on that link, let's stream and configure your microphone and camera, and you will find yourself in this amazing studio and have the conversation with me. Don't worry if you're not in a position to enter at the stage without your camera. Your voice and contribution is all we need. Now, with me here, I have a synopsis of the play that has caused outrage, that has sparked outrage in the country. And here is how it goes. So the play starts by the synopsis of the entire thing is there exists a natural balance between respect for the old and care for the young. Those who are old bring experience, while those who are young bring enthusiasm and creative innovation. This is the relationship that weaves together our ever-evolving society. This play is a hyperbole attempt to illustrate the widening gap between 2 generations, the old and the young. The artistic context is set in the Royal Velvet Emirates, a fictitious kingdom in the Middle East. In the kingdom, the old have quickly lost trust of the younger generation. The young are agitated by the inflexible strictness of the old. The balance is an inevitable compromise. Now, some say that art is the conscience, or the conscience, however you choose to pronounce it, of our society. Some say art is the mirror of our society. Well, both of them might be true, but where do we draw the line? Well, you had this conversation, those who are here on Wednesday with Bernard, when this play had just begun, causing some jitters in the country and in the political spheres. And so Butere Girls, for those who might not have an idea of what I'm talking, staged a play titled Echoes of War, that criticizes the government, social justice, and governance, and the Kenya Kwanza government has been agitated by the same and wanted to ban the play, but the court says give it the green light. And just before the day of the play, that is Thursday, on Wednesday evening, they arrested the playwright, who is also former MCA and senator of Kakamega County and former UDA, which is the ruling party secretary general, who fell out with President Ruto. So there has been, a new build-up in this, and mostly by the government, who now claim that Cleophas Malala is using school children to push his agenda and cause and settle political scores. But how true is that? Is this just a propaganda, or is it true? But then again, we live in a free country, democratic country. We love to tout our democracy, and in a democracy there exists freedoms, certain freedoms, and one of those freedoms is freedom of expression, and artistic expression is one of them. Now, remember during the days of, for those who study history, during the days of Nazi Germany, the government, or rather Hitler's administration, would ban books that were deemed non-German or, did not agree with the Nazi ideology. With that, they would censor the culture and the thoughts of the Germans. Now, is this what you're now doing in Kenya by dictating, what art should be about and what it should not be about? Now, people have claimed, or rather the government, seen the Minister of Education, Julius Magamba, if I'm not wrong, that's his name, say that Malala is a politician, he's not a teacher, he's not a teacher at Butere Girls, and so shouldn't, has no business writing plays for Butere Girls or directing those plays for that matter. But then again, is he wrong to be doing so, to be writing the plays? Remember, Cleophas Malala was a playwright way before he was a politician. For those who remember long enough, he wrote the play Shackles of Doom. It was a very popular play, still staged by Butere Girls, and which caused us much controversy. Not to this level, but it stirred up controversy. And, this whole debate in the country. Oppressive regimes have never been a big fan of, critical literature and theater, and Kenya is no stranger to critical theater and literature. I'll be taking you on, a short trip down memory lane, and a short trip of what transpired today, as I wait for you to come and engage with me. And those of you who might not be in a position to, you can still engage with me in the comments. Tell me what you think. Facebook and YouTube. As usual, it takes two to tangle. So I invite you into the conversation, even as we continue to talk about this. So there has been several developments. It has been a day full of drama. This whole issue has caused, chaos and public outrage in the country. People asking, is the government now tear gassing school children? Last year, the country was all chaos, and Gen Zs went to the streets to protest, and what they got from a peaceful protest was tear gas, live bullets, and rubber bullets. And we were asking, is the government now shooting its children? Now this is too low. We thought last year was low, but this is lower. These are not just young people. These are real children we should be protecting. They're just doing what they should be doing, extracurricular activities in school, and art and expressing themselves. But anyway, that's just how I usher in my conversation for today. As I wait for you to come into the conversation, I have Esther Stahl already with me in the comment section. She was here very early saying good evening, Bernard, and all of you. Bernard is not with us today. I'll be taking you through the show. My name is Douglas. Welcome to the show. In the meantime, the link will be out there. Feel free to join me in the studio. Continue to invite more people to come in, and so that we may dive into the events of the day and make sense of what has been happening. I feel like we're living in, we are living literature real time in this country, especially after what transpired today and what transpired the whole of last year. I feel like we're living, a real time a piece of literature. But anyway, so in the meantime, the link is out there. I'll be sending it out after this short commercial break. Welcome once more to this conversation.
Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candid Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and marriages. Reach on us today.
Sorry for that. So saying, before I play for you that bite, just sharing out the link. The link is out there. The link to joining me in the studio conversation. So I have Joy Musia was telling me Malala has been released. Yeah, Malala was released today evening. I think the government was just doing what it does best. Arresting people for no reason, release them later when the event that you are avoiding has already passed. For instance, they wanted the play to run very early in the morning, and before Kenyans wake up to know what is happening, so that they will be done with it. Malala would be in prison, but what they did not expect is that teenagers could actually defy, the government. They went on stage, sang the national anthem, and said they're not going to stage the play without their director. But instead of giving you the news from secondhand, I'd rather you hear it from the horse's mouth. So let's just go through some events of the day as I wait for you in the studio. The link is out there. Feel free to join me in the conversation. So in the meantime, let's just take a look at what transpired today.
Good evening. Our that rocked the ongoing National Drama Festival. A day-long standoff over the controversial play Echoes of War by Butere Girls High School. The tension peaked with the arrest of playwright and former Senator Cleophas Malala on Wednesday night and culminated today in a bold boycott by Butere Girls students who refused to perform the play. Marian Nyambura reports on the real-life drama unfolding off-stage.
A cloud of tear gas marked the Thursday morning exit of Butere Girls High School students from the National Drama Festivals at Lyons Primary School. Moments after staging a bold boycott demanding the release of their detained play director, police moved in, dispersing the students with tear gas, turning a peaceful protest into a chaotic scene.
We were harassed by the police. They took us to stage with nothing. Nothing. Tumekuja shule, we have not rehearsed, we don't have our directors, we don't even have props. Wanasema tuende stage to perform. What are we performing with? How? Is this even fair to the students?
They refused to perform Echoes of War, a play penned by former Senator Cleophas Malala. Instead, the Butere Girls High School students stood their ground, singing the national anthem and voicing their frustration over what they described as weeks of mistreatment, including being denied rehearsal time. With heads held high, they walked off the stage, their silence louder than any performance. The students' arrival at the venue was nothing short of theatrical. Much like the play itself, it had taken on a life of its own. But the tension had been simmering long before the curtain rose. From Wednesday evening into the dead of the night, when police arrested former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala. Earlier this afternoon, Malala was released after spending the night behind bars at the Eldama Ravine police station.
Namuuliza wapi charge sheet, wapi summons, hakuna. Ilhali niko na order ambayo inaniambia nikuje nifanye mchezo huo. Sasa ukinishika katikati ya barabara kama hii, usiku umenipata hapa, umenishika, sijui ananipeleka wapi.
His arrest casting a long shadow over the drama festival.
They are boxing, they are fighting in the dark. They don't know wanapigana na nani. So what I want to ask William Ruto, wewe ndio unasema kwamba you want to monitor his talents. Wewe ndio unasema kwamba unataka kukuza talanta. Sasa kwa nini unakataza watoto wadogo wa Butere Girls kuonyesha mchezo wao? Kwa nini unashika mimi? Mimi nimekosa nini?
What began as a standoff on Wednesday night quickly spiraled into chaos that spilled over to Thursday morning. At the center of it all, Butere Girls High School drama students who left the venue of the National Drama Festivals visibly shaken but defiant. Maria Nyambura, Citizen TV, Nakuru.
Government has been on this story. The government is tonight blasting former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala for allegedly politicizing the ongoing drama festivals. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen is accusing the former UDA Secretary General of advancing his political agenda through craftily induced drama scripts aimed at activism. This as the Ministry of Education denies using tear gas to disperse Butere Girls learners moments after they declined to perform their play Echoes of War. Seth Olale has been on that story.
With the saga surrounding the Butere Girls drama performance eliciting public outrage, the government is accusing former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala for allegedly hijacking the show. Interior Cabinet Secretary calling out the former UDA Secretary General for allegedly politicizing the Butere Girls drama performance.
Inawezekanaje kwamba mwanaharakati wa siasa ndio sasa ni mwalimu mkuu mwenye anaandikia wanafunzi mambo ambayo yanasema na anatumia wanafunzi kusema mambo ya kisiasa?
Malala being accused of using the play stage to weaponize school children against authority and advancing his criticism against the government.
Wale wote ambao wanafanya siasa, tunawaomba muachie walimu wafanye kazi yao. Tuwaje kutumia watoto wetu kufanya siasa. Mpaka imefika wakati ambapo mtu mwenye kabisa tunajua ako mrengo fulani ya kisiasa, yeye ndio mwalimu mkuu ya mambo ya kuendeleza siasa kupitia wanafunzi.
There is a culture that is currently creeping across the country where there is lack of order across every sphere of life.
The government reiterating that all performing arts involving learners should be strictly undertaken by teachers.
Wacha walimu waangalie content ambayo wanafunza watoto wetu. Walimu wenyewe wanajua boundaries, wanajua jinsi ya kutumia lugha, wanajua jinsi ya kukosoa serikali na society kupitia lugha ambayo itasaidia wanafunzi wetu wajue hizi ni haki za binadamu ambayo inafaa, hivi ndio nchi lazima iendeshwe, lakini pia walimu wanajua mipaka ya kiheshima.
You don't want a situation where you have members that people even wonder, was this an administrator or is this even an administrator?
One of them stepped forward and said they are not willing to perform without their director, Mr. Malala. Mr. Malala is not a teacher in Butere. He's not a director in Butere. He's not a director of that play. So the students, of their own volition, decided not to participate.
It's against the rules and regulations of the drama festival to have a non-teacher or people who are not in the teaching fraternity to be able to direct or adjudicate plays.
The Ministry of Education denying reports that police used tear gas to disperse the learners moments after refusing to perform their play, Echoes of War.
And it can be confirmed that there was no tear gas today. It is only that the only incident that we know about today was the fact that the students were given a chance and they were not willing to perform. That is the only incident.
No tear gas.
The government also condemned the brutal force meted on journalists.
Sio halali na sio nia yetu kama idara ya usalama kwa njia yoyote kuumiza mwanahabari yoyote.
Government officials are in unison responding to the Butere Girls saga. However, questions continue to arise regarding how this whole issue came into existence. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Lamu County.
Okay, so there you have it. Say the events of the day into there. Yeah, that is what transpired today. That forms my poll question tonight. Because of war, artistic freedom or political exploitation. This artistic freedom or political exploitation, because one side, as I said, the side of the government claims that, Malala, who was kicked out of UDA, Secretary General, there was drama, and I think we had a conversation on that at some point, and, them claiming that he's using the school drama festivals to drive a political agenda. To settle political scores. But then the question is Malala the problem or is it the play? Because, I've read bits of the play and I'm going to run a bite, where that does an analysis of what the play is about. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I don't think it's a bad piece. It reflects our times. I feel like it reflects what is happening in our society at the moment, and so I don't know, but I have Lala with me in studio. Maybe he'll help me understand from is this to him is this artistic freedom or is this political exploitation? Lala, how are you today?
I'm well, Douglas. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while.
Yes, I just joined you, and I trust all is well. And those of us behind the scene, I'm Jumbo. I think I only came at the last tip of I think the video that you're showing. So maybe you can just give some highlights of what's really happening.
Oh yeah, so I think you had a conversation on the issue of you've heard about echoes of war, right?
Yeah,
The
are you
play.
talking about the Butere thing?
Yes, yes.
I think I have a kind of scanty information on it.
Okay.
But I think I can say some words, here. I think there are some things that as Kenyans we must really discuss and talk about, and that is the academic freedom. Academic freedom is really crucial to building a healthy political or democratic system, which means that students can play can have plays that critique the social order, and they got a voice. They're Kenyans. They are actually very pure in terms of what they do. So if they're doing a play, which of course is approved by the school itself, because we trust the teachers and to be able to help these young people to have plays. And let me, before I say that, let me say this: in a system like the U.S. system, in fact, when you see a congressman or a senator, call a senator, or maybe someone like a CS equivalent in Kenya, usually they have very strong link to learning institutions. In fact, when they leave, if they get defeated or then they leave politics, they go back to academia, to classrooms to be able to share their experiences as politicians, as people that left, because they left when they had something, they were professionals, but now they have another layer added to their knowledge as professional. Now they're politicians, and so that knowledge is really needed in the classroom. So to me, if whether it's Malala or somebody else can write a play to be used, I think it's wonderful. Now, the problem with Kenya is that sometimes because of insecurity, many of our people, because of things are not done for right reasons, uh, people are stealing. So if you write something about stealing, you may be in trouble because you're trying to find them out what they are doing in there. So in my mind, I don't see any reason why politicians and anyone can, was good ideas, can share with their students, which they should. I'm talking of probably in general, that is, which is really important for us to nurture as a country. And now the details with the idea that we play, and I'd like to know more about what really happened. But police is always a suspect. Government interference using police is even sad to hear that Malala, and it does. I'm not into Malala because I think it's Kimbelembele sana, but I have to protect, I have to defend this right, and I think this is where Kenyans, we have to be very, very careful. You don't have to agree with someone, but you can defend their right. We are talking about a constitution which should serve all of us. But if we keep on taking sides because this is what we believe in, so somebody can human right or abuse or can be taken to jail, and just because you don't like them, that is not a society that I want to live in. So to me, I'd like to learn more about what really happened. But from what I think I'm hearing, I think the police and these other people overrode their boundaries. They went across the other side, which they shouldn't have. They can't start telling us Malala can't do this or can't do that, while themselves they go into those schools to do their own things. So let's be fair and let's do things the right way. So up to this moment, I need to be educated because I haven't been given proper briefing on what's going on. But schools should be given chance to exercise their God-given freedom, because if they do it early enough, they're going to save us when they come our age, because now they know what they're doing. But if you stop them from, I had somebody say something like, Malala is not a teacher. Malala is a teacher. What does they mean is not a teacher? All of us can be teachers, especially if things are done correctly. There's no reason why, his play should not be, not be used. That's I'm 100% with Malala in that case. But in other ways, I think ni mtu wa kimbelembele. I think he was used by Ruto and the rest. But people learning. Is a young man. I'm sure he's learning. Back to you. I don't know whether that's the right direction you are going, because I didn't listen. I just came like a minute just before you asked me to come in. Thank you. Back to you, Douglas.
Yeah, thank you, Lala. I think you've done a splendid job, considering you didn't, quite catch what transpired. So, just ask you if, because I think you were with Bernard when this story first started, when Malala was arrested. So they arrested him so that they arrested him on his way to rehearsal. So on the day before the actual staging of the play, there's a rehearsal in the evening. So they arrested him on the way there. The plan was to detain him, before, for the rest, for the whole period, till the play runs, then they would release him. So on the next day, the students of Butere Girls went on stage, and instead of performing the play, what they did was sing the national anthem. Then they made a speech among his, tears, and they left the stage. Said they're not going to perform without their director. So, but maybe I could play. I could just run that story again, just to put you.
Please let me see it. I'd like to see the story. Yes.
Okay. So, just a moment. There we go.
Is on the spot of a scaffold that saw Butere Girls High School fail to stage the Echoes of War play at the ongoing National Drama Festivals in the county of Nakuru. Hundreds of Kenyans who flocked Melvin Jones Academy to witness the much-awaited play were disappointed after armed police officers blocked the entrance to the venue. The drama drew mixed reactions from Parliament, with Butere Member of Parliament Tindi Mwale demanding an explanation from the Departmental Committee on Security on why the girls' performance was disrupted. Is NTV's Ruth Sarmwei Chesenge with the details.
A few minutes to 9 a.m., chaos erupted on Section 58 Road in Nakuru after police fired tear gas canisters to disperse a protesting crowd that was chanting anti-government slogans. In solidarity with the students of Butere Girls High School who had boycotted staging their much-anticipated play, Echoes of War.
We have decided to air out our problems without violence. Wanted to be a tear gas like adults. They don't want to explain to us like adults. Why we're not performing.
The girls stated they walked onto the stage, performed the national anthem, and then left in protest after being denied essential items that would facilitate their play.
Tulitoka home, tumekuja shule, we have not rehearsed, we don't have directors, we don't even have props. Wanasema tuende stage to perform.
The excessive use of force by police came a few hours after journalists attacked outside the Kirabon Girls High School where the students were spending their night.
Jana tulifukuzwa rehearsal usiku, walikuwa wanatupa teargas huko nje.
Before their arrival, there was heavy police presence in the area, particularly at the entrance to Melvin Jones Academy in Nakuru, where the play was scheduled to be staged. Despite the imposing presence of armed officers, jubilation broke out from the audience who had been barred from accessing the venue as they joyfully welcomed the girls, who arrived at 7:30 a.m. escorted by police. The gate was hurriedly opened as the police blocked anyone from sneaking into the deserted venue that has been bursting with activities 3 days ago. Our attempts to get in were also thwarted. The crowd gathered near the gate, waiting for the girls to disembark from the bus. 20 minutes later, the girls stepped out, dressed in their costumes, and began their vocal warm-up exercises. Officials, as police officers, maintained a presence inside both entry gates. 2 minutes. 38 out of the 50 cast members were escorted into the main hall. With less than 30 minutes inside the hall, the girls were escorted back to their bus and directed to leave the gate. This time, however, a police staff from Kaptembo police station leading the way. And when some girls had stepped out of the bus demanding for the release of Malala, the police ordered the bus driver to leave. While condemning the
doing right now, the thought of you thinking that they're children, that's where you go wrong. These are people who are formed. These young children are people who are seeing what is going on in their country, and they have a right to speak.
Amnesty International has condemned the incident.
Serious, intentional initiative by the government to curtail the freedom of expression and the freedom of association.
These people should speak about this government from morning to the evening. Politicization.
In the National Assembly, Butere MP Tindi Mwale sought an explanation on the whole situation, as their counterparts in the Senate condemned the excessive use of force on students who were out to showcase their artistic talents.
We are calling on this government, Mr. Speaker, if it cannot protect our children, this government should resign. That's what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
We are saying, Mr. Speaker, if you cannot protect our children, resign. You have no business being enough.
Mr. Speaker, I have been in that space where if we actually were intentional in understanding that creative space, we would not be running up and down throwing tear gas at children because they have been given scripts to go and perform.
Today's events come despite government assurance through Basic Education Principal Secretary Julius Bitok that the play would proceed as had been ordered by court. Ruth Sarmoy Chesenge, NTV.
Douglas, that's quite unfortunate that the government could do that, because if they claim not to have been the one doing it, then who has the power to do it? That's even worse. And so clearly government hand was in it. And what would make government feel so insecure? Kids, doing a play. I mean, they're supposed to be protected and sent to that place in good protection, because we know what happened in Nigeria when the young girls were abducted, and so these are our precious people, supposed to be protected even more than the president, when you think about it, because this is the future of Kenya. And so for tear gas to be thrown at non-threatening children because of either somebody who wrote the play or Malala, I mean, to me, is shocking, really shocking to to witness, things like this happening today. I think Malala, I think it's a teacher, isn't it? His background is does write
Yes,
plays. I think
yes.
I remember some time back he did a play, he wrote a play that had similar kind of reaction. So you're saying something? Did you say something?
No, I was
Yeah.
naming the play. It's Shackles of Doom from 2013, still with Butere Girls. At the same.
Yeah, which is great that this can do this. We need creativity. We need the people to critique, what's going on in the country, and drama is, and our kids doing it is really a leap forward in terms of learning, how a system like ours should work and things that should not be allowed in. So to me, I think it's great. You should be acclaimed for writing a play like that. So to hear, so-called government coming in to do that is not right. And I thought I saw somebody like Omolo talk about they didn't put tear gas and all that. Then who did it? Why are they not in jail? I mean, there's something that is so silly, as a government not to know who threw tear gas to our children. I mean, somebody should be fired. They should be out of their job if they did something. Or someone, if it's outside the government, should have been arrested long time ago. For our kids to leave Butere all the way to Nakuru and still find themselves tear gas howling at them. I mean, to me, this is insane. This is a government that is really it's not functioning at all. Things are collapsed. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Lala, for that. Before I pose a question, I wanted to hear from you. Let me first hear from Omolo Omolo, who's just joined us. Omolo Omolo.
Yes. Good morning.
Hi, Omolo Omolo. Good to hear you, my brother.
Thank you, Reverend Lala. I'm also happy to hear from you. But I want to agree with you 100% that it is very, very sad state of our nation where we are subjecting small kids, minors, in that form of physical brutality and, the kind of unnecessary use of force by the police. I don't know even whether, because I think now our police are misusing even this tear gas, because do they even have the limit when they are supposed to use the tear gas or no, or just because they can throw it anyhow? Because number one, it was no demonstration. They were not going to cordon off that place. That place, those students were at the right place because that is where they were meant to be. Now, when you go and throw tear gas at them, where were you expecting them to go? So, and what puzzles me is not even people, bashing Malala. Okay, even me, maybe I want to say, okay, maybe Malala was wrong. Let's assume that way. But when I see a whole government, CS of education, you are faulting Malala, but you are not faulting the officers who physically assaulted the children, who tear gassed the children. No, you are not talking on that one. Now, even by admitting that Malala is not a teacher, so that means our sisters and our kids are not, are literally exposed. So if Malala had bad intention of harming them, that means those kids were exposed, because that even itself shows a failure. Because if you come to us and say that Malala is not a teacher, how come, he's in touch with our, the students, and yet he's not a teacher, he's not, I don't know what, then how did he end up coaching those kids? So it shows even a failure in the Ministry of Education, because if anyone can just walk in and get exposed to our kids, What if he had bad intention? What if he was a kidnapper or he wanted to harm them? And all this while he has been with them. So government, they continue exposing their failure by thinking that they are defending themselves. And I think it is the right time now that the government should learn to take accountability. Those police that tear gassed those small girls, they must surely take responsibility and accountability. I don't know whether they are parents. I don't know whether they have their own siblings. Because this tear gas, it is not something to joke about. It has some side effects, especially for the young kids. Their lungs are not even fully developed. And now you are going to expose them to those level of chemicals. And now everybody should just treat it as normal. And now we should bash and victimize Malala, but not touch about the police who assaulted the innocent young kids. We don't even talk of the play. Those kids are Kenyans and they have a right of expression. They can express it by singing. They can do it in a way of poem or even in a way in a form of play. There's nothing unconstitutional about that. And so now this country, we have people that we are paying. Tunasema, we have a children, I don't know, department where they are supposed, but even now at this stage they are quiet. Hawakuji kusema kwa these girls, their rights have been breached. No, they'll keep quiet and yet wako kwa ofisi. These kids need protection, and we have I think organization that they're in charge of protecting the kids, and even in a constitution we have some even acts of parliament to protect the children. So this government, they only follow the constitution when it is fashionable for them, lakini wakiona kwamba haiendi vizuri na wao. But what make me even sad, Reverend Lala, is when I saw a whole parliament, which it is actually where laws are made, akina Osoro, praising this is what happened. Now ndio wanatutungia sheria. They are not condemning the brutality that were meted, on the kids. Now, I'm wondering whether we have a country, because the people who are making the law, they don't even want to follow the law. Now, the people who are enforcing the law, they don't want to follow the law. Now, we had Martha Koome coming to cry with us on social media, telling us how people should follow the constitution. And yet, she has all the power to punish those people that they do not follow the constitution. But now, she's coming to cry with us on the media. And yet she's given a platform ambao ana exercise, akona constitutional office. She's a president of the Supreme Court, of which I would expect kwamba kesho wale watu ambao they went against the court order, including the IG, could have been prosecuted. But no, they are coming to cry with us, the social media. Do we have a government here? Now, who should we be running to? Sasa polisi hawezi fuata sheria, na ndiye anafaa kuenforce. Parliament ambao ukifinyika anafaa kufanya oversight, kuangalia the excesses. Now pia they are raping the law. Who should we run to? President ndio huyo. Do we have a country here? So this thing that happened to Butere girls is not just for Butere, but it should be an eye opener, because if a country can stoop this low to an extent of fighting the minors, young kids, what do you think they will do to Reverend Lala? Back to you in studio.
Okay, thank you, Omolo, for that. Just something you touched on the issue they asked. They're saying that why did Malala write the play? Why does he go to direct a play in a school? Is he a teacher? But Big J says schools hire private coaches, and I did drama back in high school. Well, I'm an okay artist. And so those plays, we never used to write them. Our teachers never used to write them unless the budget for Nini is very small. So the drama club cannot afford to hire a professional playwright and to write a play and direct it. But you used to hire actually private coaches, and I don't understand this conversation because Malala has been a playwright. He's known for that. He was a playwright before he was a politician. I think he
has written 82
plays.
Scripts. 82 plays, yes.
Yes, so he's a very seasoned playwright. So seeing such I think this is some sort of propaganda, but that's just my opinion. But for a moment, I want us to talk
Douglas, let me say this. Malala is doing the right thing. That's what any democratic, any progressive system wants to do. Malala is doing the right thing, using his gift and talents to empower institutions. That's what we are preaching for. That's what is needed. So to hear people criticize Malala is shame on them. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Lala, for that. I think it was awesome for saying radicalizing school kids with the political intent is not art. This is showing lack of ideas and desperation by the haters of the current administration. Malala is to be blamed for all these disruptions. But my question is, as some sort of artist myself, yes, some sort of, I just want to ask this question. Because artists get the inspiration to either write pieces, whether it's music or anything, from the experiences in their own lives. So there's this conversation that the government is pushing that, Malala is just someone who is disgruntled about the political side he was on and now using school. So they are painting the picture of him indoctrinating the school kids.
Can I say one thing to answer that gentleman? Awesome, I think he is. You see, I've had the privilege of living in Germany, in a place like Japan and the US, traveled everywhere. In most cases, even high school to graduate, one of the requirements is that you got to intern in a politician's office or one of those institutions to have a feel of what's going on out there. So for Malala to come in to share his gifts, it's a blessing, so to hear young people, siding with the government side, that it was attacking the government. I mean, what a narrow thinking is that? So back to you, Paulie.
And on that note, I don't know this narrative that let us not politicize the students. Now, I want to understand exactly what is that politicizing, because I have seen a lot of students doing poems for leaders, even including Ruto here. They have, a lot of students have did poem for him. Now, when they are praising them, it is not politicizing, or is politics only during critics or anything that associate with the politician? When they are praising the leaders, it's not politicized, it's not politics. But when it comes to criticize now, they say don't politicize. We have seen a lot of young pupils going in front of the president, dancing for him, doing some sort of poems. So
actually,
why this will be different?
If I may just cut you short, after the drama festival is is done, I think the winners go to perform at State House Gala, that sort of thing. Could that be what they're afraid of? That plays makes it to State House and they have to sit and watch all that. Molo.
Yes, and I wanted to ask that gentleman called Awesome that he's asking. He said that the politics in our school is where he drew the line. Now I want him to tell us about that line. When you go and when the kids go and praise the politicians, including even the president, singing for him and doing some form of poems, is that not politics? Or politics is only when they criticize? So please, you need at least to be a critical thinker. You know, in as much as sometimes, you know, let us learn to differentiate issues. What is wrong is wrong. It has never even happened. Even Moi that was dictator, I remember there were people like Kina KJ, Kina Nyambane, Tony Njuguna, right? They they came with ridiculous, and they were in some form of, doing like, they were even ridiculing, but Moi did nothing to them. And in fact, even they thrive, those guys thrive and build their careers until now they are successful people. They were not silenced. So this regime even is worse than that of Moi. Yes, and I agree with you. You know, when this drama festival, I think the final are always done at State House. You remember even 2013 or 2014 or it was 15, there was that guy Otonglo boy mwenye alienda kumfanyia Uhuru. And if you could, there were even two guys also, I think they were from Nairobi University. And they were even, some kind of criticizing Uhuru, saying that, Mr. President, we are entertaining jobless, entertaining you for free. I don't know whether you remember that kind of poem those two young guys were doing. I think it was around 2013, 2014. They were telling Uhuru that, Uhuru, jobless, entertaining you for free, and some kind of, so it was not a big deal. These girls with Malala, they did nothing wrong at all. The problem is with the regime. The problem is with those police, those rogue police. How do you bring 50 police officers for young girls, 15 years? They are not, they're only armed with the pen and the paper.
Remember
and
this?
You're bringing 15 police officers.
Remember this is the same guy who teargassed primary school kids. Remember in Langata?
Yes. When he wanted to grab Weston, how do you bring more than And as you are doing that, the other day in somewhere in Meru, cattle rustlers kill even 6 police officers. Lakini huwezi kuwapeleka those 50 and wangekata hapo shortcut wakaenda Meru kwenda kutafutia those bandits. But now you are going to show force for young kids. What a shame. What a shame. We don't have a government here. At least we don't have even one single person that can reason like a human being. What happened to them? No one even at least can be conscious. And you would hear a whole minister, CS, akikuja kuongea, condemning about Malala, but he's not talking about the welfare of the children. The CS did not even ask or even, show any remorse or concern about it. That was the most insensitive thing that I've ever witnessed. At least to ask the safety of those kids. No, he just come and trivialize the whole issue, talking of Malala. When the script was done, they knew from day one that it was Malala coaching them. You want to tell me that what are those county and sub-county educational officers doing on the ground? So you want to tell me that the Ministry of Education don't have their officers on the ground, that they know activities going around? That it is today, they were just surprised that Malala was the one that was directing. the play. What an hypocrisy! Malala has been directing. I think that in that Butere school from 2013 or even before, more than 15 years.
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden today now you become a stranger? And even if you are to interrogate those other schools, you would find out that there are a lot of, professionals directing those their plays, not necessarily teachers. So this level of hypocrisy and insensitivity, where even you don't care about the welfare of children, just because mtoto wa Ruto yuko hapo, mtoto wa Raila yuko hapo, mtoto wa Murkomen yuko hapo. If walikuwa ni wanafunzi wa Turi ama Briban, I'm sure the case could be different. But just because wametoka Butere, now they can, they can do whatever they want. It is not important. Sisi wa Kenya kwanza tuanze kujipenda na tuache mambo ya psychophancy. That we are blind, even something that your conscience is telling you that is wrong. Lakini unakuja hapa kushout ati sijui Malala. No bwana, at least have your conscience. Wache tu kukuwa psychophant. Au Sam, mi wanajibu direct, usiende tu hapo kuwa unaweka tu keyboard. At least be human. At least kwa hiyo kidogo be human. Kama ingekuwa ni mtoto wako kwa hiyo Butere, ungekuja kuandika hizo vitu unaandika hapa. Hapa tunaongelea maisha ya watoto wadogo ambao wamekuwa exposed kwanza to violence. Wewe unafikiri hata kesho maisha yao itakuwa namna gani? These are the kids even and that now they need even therapy, because when you expose that kind of violence in that age, any psychologist will tell you that this is a permanent mark that you have left in them. Watoto hawatakuwa tena na mapenzi, ushawa exposed tayari kwa violence, and now they will become wild. You have already damaged their future. They did not, qualify for that form of violence. And for what reason? Hata ile kwenda tu kuonyesha masilaha kwanza, hata hii haifai. These are kids.
Okay, thank you for that, Molo, and I agree with you 100%. I think Malala said something really, really that we should pay attention to. These are not kids. Been doing the same with the Gen Zs who had their uprising last year. They're not kids, they're human beings. As much as they may be young, they still have that artistic talent, and they are free to express themselves in whatever way they wish, on whatever topic they wish. Just saying that because I've seen some in the comments saying that we should keep politics out of schools and that kind of thing. But they see what is happening. They see, they experience the same problems, because when they leave school and go back home, the challenges that we face out here that caused by this administration, they still experience them. But just wanted us to take a look at that play. What is it really that is that has really threatened, or rather the government? So I wanted us to just take a look at a story done by Mainstream on the play, just a synopsis of the play, see what it was all about, so that we may make our own discernment. Should those kids be allowed to speak about to stage that play? How bad is it that the president unleashes police officers with tear gas on school children? So Molo has dropped out. I think it's here an issue with his connection. Hopefully he'll join us back in the connection. But in the meantime, we still have Lala. But before we have a look at that bite, yes, I was asking, echoes of war, artistic freedom or political exploitation? 65% of you say it's artistic freedom. Well, 35% of you say it's political exploitation. 34 votes so far. So we continue to have a conversation, dissect this, this conversation. It's still building. People are still, it's still an outrage among Kenyans, and Kenyans are trying to make sense of everything. And here at Sound Candid Talk, here we're going to have a conversation. By the time we wrap up this, we're going to have a clear view of where we stand on this whole thing. Lala, you have something to say?
I have something to say because I won't be here too long. I have to have a meeting. First of all, these are my sentiment on this issue. Number one, the government is totally on the wrong. They need to, heads need to roll. I think there need to be an apology to those children because one, yes, it's the duty of the government to make sure that our kids are protected from even ideologies that may not be very good, radicalism and things like that. And this is where I make my comment clear on this issue. If there is a problem with the script or a message, there are mechanisms where you could talk during a rehearsal or at any given time, call the people and tell them, based on what we see, these are the dangers here. Can you make some changes on this script here and there? Okay, without even the kids knowing. Just done all the time in most of these scripts that you have on television, on videos, on movies and films and all that stuff. There's always something that need to be changed here and there. So to wait to the moment when all of us, everybody's waiting to hear or to see the play, then the children are tear gassed. The children are brutalized. The children are made to feel like they are the enemy of the republic. Is a total failure on our system, on our government, and anyone supporting, even when you go against Malala, basically you are going against the children, the teachers, those who made all the decisions. So let's not focus on Malala. Let's focus on the failure of this government for not foreseeing if there's any danger, which I don't think there is any. So to me, it's a government that has lost its relevancy, lost its work with our kids to make sure that things are done correctly. And lastly, the point that I made, education is about learning. Our young people have innocent, curious mind that need information, proper information. They are supposed to be exposed to how government works, okay, our system works. One of the things about the colonial government is that the focus was on the Western, on their British and foreign interest. So you see our children are singing, London is burning, fire, fire, Why would we sing about London is burning? Are there no bridges that can burn in Kenya? Okay, so we were given a curriculum that actually dehumanized our own space. So when you have people like Malala doing what they're doing, they're actually a service to the nation. Okay? In other words, they are willing to share their gift and talent with our young people. Yes, if there's some issues, they can raise it. But you don't come and beat the kids and now talk about what Malala's done when this guy, that is his role. Lastly, finally, education has to expose our kids to all professions, which means that they're supposed to know what lawyers do, they're supposed to know what teachers do, what farmers do, all these people do. So, and they have to interact with those people. So to hear that Malala is not a teacher, you know, it's actually, even if it's not a teacher, it's done so well to be able to be in school. So I don't know what these guys are talking about. Education is not, you don't have to have a license to be a teacher to be able to contribute. Small schools have a certain day of a semester or a year where they bring in different profession. Parents come in to share what they do with the kids, because we want kids that are balanced, able to contribute, able to compete globally. And they can't just come with those little few things in the class that they cram every day. No wonder we are having a hard time, you know, with our students, you know, competing on a certain level. So to me, hearing people talk about spoiling our kids by exposing them to the plays and participating in the play, to me, that should be, that's actually an honor to do that. I mean, that is Malala actually is contributing a great deal to the development of the mind of our students. So congratulations, Malala. Back to you. Nimemwona Jakimbe ameingia. Asante.
Thank you, Lala. Okay, so before we play that bite, Honor Jakindube has joined us. Maybe he'll say hi and tupatie his thoughts. Jakindube.
Asante sana kwa kunikaribisha. Ingawaje sisikii vizuri sana, lakini nimeumwa sana na hiyo mambo ya Malala, lakini kitu nataka kumwambia mzee ni kwamba mimi kila siku nawaambia kwamba tuko bado katika ukoloni. Sisi bado tunaongozwa na ukoloni, na sisi wote wa Kenya bado tunafikiria kama sisi kama wale ambao wanacheo wanafikiria kama wakoloni, na wale ambao ni wadogo kama sisi tunafikiria kwamba hawa ni wakoloni, ni watu ambao ni lazima watu terrorize vile wanatuterrorize. Kenya nchi yetu tunaweza kupiga watoto teargas kama South Africa, kama vile wazungu walikuwa wanatupiga, walipiga watoto, walikuwa wanafanyia watoto kule South Africa. Hata sisi wa Kenya tulikuwa tunafanyiwa mambo kama haya, bado tunafanya nasema hivyo kwa sababu sioni kama tumebadilisha chochote. Kile wazungu walikuwa wanatufanyia, zile vitu wazungu walikuwa wanafanya, mimi naomba mtu anieleze kama kweli tumebadilika, tumetoka kwa hizo vitu ambazo tulikuwa tunaziona ni vitu vibaya. Bado tunazifanya, tunawafanyia watu wetu mpaka dakika hii. Hakuna serikali hata moja, hakuna serikali katika au president wote wameshakuwa Kenya ambao wamesema hiki ni kitendo ambacho tulikuwa tunanyanyaswa nacho, hatuwezi kunyanyasa wenzetu nayo. Bado tunanyanyasa wenzetu tu kama vile wale wazungu walikuwa wanafanya. So hii mimi naona sisi wa Kenya tumekubali kunyanyaswa, kwa sababu kitendo ambacho kimefanyika hiyo ni kitendo ambacho ni cha upumbavu. Yani kinatufanya tunakuwa watu, sijui watu wa namna gani, kwa sababu najua vitu kama hizi michezo za kuigiza, cinema, muziki, hata muziki huwa kuna editing. Maana ya editing ni nini? Kutoa zile vitu ambavyo mnaona labda zinaweza kuleta tafaruku, zinaweza yani labda hazifai, labda watoto hawafai kuziona. Hizo ndio maana kuna kitu inaitwa editing, kwa sababu hata wote hata wewe ni saa zingine una edit. Kuna vitu vingine huwezi kubali, hata lugha fulani hatuwezi kubali hapa, unaona. Kuna matamshi fulani hatuwezi kuzikubali hapa, hamkubali. So hiyo inaitwa editing, lakini lazima ukubali, umpatie mtu nafasi. So kama hiyo mchezo ambayo Malala aliandika, ama kama ni nani aliandika, kama serikali inataka, si mbona wakuenda wa edit, waseme hii sehemu tunaona labda inaweza kuleta fujo, hii sehemu, badala ya kwenda pale na kuanza kupiga watoto na teargas. Maana yake nini? Hiyo ni maana yake ni ukoloni. Hiyo maana yake ni serikali ya mabavu, yeah? Lakini saa zingine ikiwafanyia watu kama kina Malala, unasema ni sawa, it serves them well, kwa sababu hawa kina Malala ndio walisema sijui bottom down itafanya Kenya ikuze uchumi wa Kenya. Iko wapi? Iko wapi? Wali support, na hata tuliwaambia, hata sisi hapa tuliwaambia, tafadhalini, hawa watu ni watu tumeshaona walikuwa na huyu jamaa, walikuwa na uhuru kwa hii serikali. Sasa ameruka, hayuko, lakini tunaona vitendo vyake. Wacheni, hawa watu wa Kenya hawakusikia. So saa hii vitu kama hii inaonekana sasa ndio ile ito mkuki ni mtamu kwa nguruwe, lakini kwa binadamu ni vilio. Sasa akina Malala walikuwa na support hii serikali, tena alikuwa secretary general. Sasa aniambie, asikie kama anapigwa na tear gas for what? Kitu gani? So mimi nasema sisi wa Kenya ndio tumekubali kutawaliwa na mabavu kama hivi, kwa sababu sisi ndio tunakubali na hizi vitendo. Hatujatambua kwamba tuko chini ya serikali ya kikoloni, serikali ya mabavu. Asante sana.
Okay, asante Jakindube for that. Okay, so just want to play that bite. I wanted us to dive into that place, see what it was all about. Still have Jakindube and Lala. We'll come back and just talk about it. But in the meantime, I wanted us to just have a glimpse of what it's all about, why it has rattled the government that much. So just have a look at this.
Now to the content of that piece of art, Echoes of War, the play by Butere Girls. It delves into themes of bad governance, blatant disregard for the law, and the widening gap between the youth and the older generation. Stephen Leto breaks down the synopsis of this play, which has now sparked widespread controversy.
Echoes of War, a powerful presentation by Butere Girls High School, Kakamega, that challenges the status quo and sheds light on the deep divides in society. There exists a natural balance between respect for the old and care for the young. Those who are old bring experience, while those who are young bring enthusiasm and creative innovation. This is the relationship that weaves together our ever-evolving society. This is Echoes of War. The artistic backdrop unfolds in the Royal Velvet Emirates, a fictional kingdom set in the heart of the Middle East, where power, tradition and tension collide. According to the playwright, this kingdom, the old have quickly lost trust of the younger generation. The young are agitated by the inflexible strictness of the old. The play, now the talk of the town, has sent shockwaves through those in power. It boldly exposes bad governance, blatant disregard for the law, rampant abuse of human rights, and a shocking neglect of the youth's voice. The story is told through characters: a royal ruler, the Sultan, who oozes all qualities of power and affluence. His elaborate movements paint him as an authoritative man in full control. Mama Anifa, a woman steeped in religion. She demonstrates qualities of an overprotective mother saddened by the pain of her daughter's mistake. Anifa's mistake in the play is becoming pregnant. A revelation she confides to her mother. Mustafa, accused of planting a bomb in Anifa's womb, is later shocked to learn that the bomb isn't a baby, but a desire for change. Anifa is not pregnant with a child, but with hope for affordable education, universal health care, and good governance. As the plot thickens, Mustafa is suddenly abducted by the Sultan's servants. Anifa, with sharp irony, asks if Mustafa had also planted a landmine in someone's fertile land. It becomes clear that Mustafa has been quietly influencing the younger generation, starring them toward resistance. In Echoes of War, the drama begins when the Sultan, the royal ruler of this fictional Middle Eastern kingdom, decides to silence Mustafa after learning he's been using his social media platforms to call out bad governance. Anifa and other youth use the power of AI and social media to call on the youth to stand up against the tyranny. The kingdom bulged in fury and streets swell with unrest. In the protests, they term the Echoes of War to be against religious leaders who chain modern minds, refusing to let the youth explore the possibilities of a new world. The war in the play was against parents who continue to cling on the rigid ways, a war against a society that has termed the young generation as rotten. They declared the war was against anyone who stood in the way of the youth, vowing to liberate their generation at any cost. The fury in the play was so intense that it reduced government institutions to ashes, leaving the kingdom in chaos. At one point, there was no ambulance available to rush the Sultan's son Xavier to the hospital. In the end, the Sultan, humbled and defeated, swallowed his pride. He called the youth to the table, incorporating their voices and expertise into the running of his administration. Never again shall we dance to the echoes of war, the Sultan proclaimed, and in unison, the youth shouted back their resolute response: the war is over. A declaration that echoed through the kingdom, signaling the end of an era of conflict and the beginning of a new chapter, one where the youth's voices are no longer silenced but heard and respected. Stephen Letos, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Okay. So there is just an overview, a synopsis of what the play is about, and for me, I think it's a really beautiful piece of literature in that. I don't know what you think, Lala. Lala,
Give me a minute.
Okay, so in the meantime, we listen to Jakindube. Jakindube.
Mi nafikiri hiyo ni mchezo mzuri sana. Very good. Very, very good. Kwa sababu tunataka kukosolewa. Hata kama ni serikali lazima ikosolewe. Hiyo ndio maana ya demokrasia. Ama sijui basi demokrasia gani hiyo watu wanasema. Hii demokrasia ambayo ni ya mabavu, mimi sijajua hiyo. Lakini nasema hiyo mchezo ilikuwa ni mchezo mzuri sana. Hata kama ni Malala aliandika mchezo mzuri. Manake katika hizi sinema zinatakiwa tufundishe, tuwe na mafunzo. Hatuwezi tu kwenda kwa sinema ya upuzi tu ambayo inaonyesha vitu ambavyo, manake hata ukienda katika zile sinema, tulikuwa tukienda katika hizo sinema za Shaolin sijui nini, ziko na story ambazo watu unaweza kujifunza, ni kama history, zile vitu ambazo walikuwa wanapigania Unaona, hizo ziko na maana, yani inatakiwa mnafanya kitu ambayo either inasema history au inasema future ama vitu kama hizo. Hizo michezo za kuigiza ndio maana yake, lakini sasa mchezo wa kuigiza unageuza, unaanza kupiga watoto na tear gas. Hiyo maana yake hiyo ni serikali ya mabavu. Hiyo ni serikali haramu, serikali ambayo haifai kuwapo. Na mimi ndio maana nasema sisi wa Kenya tunakubali mediocrity, kwa sababu tunapenda tu watu ambao hawajui kazi au hawajui kitu kile kilikuwa nafanya, kwa sababu hii serikali ni serikali ambayo haijui kazi yake. Kusema kweli, haijui. Hizi miaka zote mpaka sasa bado wana campaign, bado sijui ni hawana nothing. Wote ni wezi, wote tu ni wezi. So mimi nasema hiyo mchezo ilikuwa ni mchezo mzuri sana, ambapo kama walikuwa wanataka, hata kama serikali ilikuwa inataka, kuna nafasi ya editing. Ndio maana kuna editing, kuna nafasi ya kuedit. Zile walikuwa hawataki, labda wangeenda pale waseme hii tunaomba msiweke hii msiweke sehemu hii, alafu wanaacha inacheza. Sio tena kwenda na tear gas. Watoto wanapigwa na tear gas kwa nini? So mimi nasema hiyo ilikuwa ni jambo nzuri la watu kujifunza, hata watu wafanyikazi wa serikali, hata president mwenyewe. Hii ni kitu inafunza, ilikuwa ni njia ya kujifunza, njia ya kukosoa. So sijui kwa nini watu wanasema sisi tunataka demokrasia, tunataka, na huwezi kukubali hiyo demokrasia, huwezi kuikubali, kwa sababu demokrasia ni wakati mwingine itakuangalia wewe unafanya kitu gani. Sio kama ukubali kukosolewa, hiyo ni demokrasia gani? So mimi naweza kusema tu wa Kenya kwamba tukatae mambo ya kudhulumiwa vile tunadhulumiwa, na tunakubali, tusikubali hata kidogo. Asante sana.
Asante Zakindube, and I totally agree with that. But now we have Kona Neutral wa Belfast. Neutral.
Habari zenu wananchi, mnanisikiza?
Tunakusikia, ingawaje sauti yako inatoka kwa umbali. How is Ireland?
Tumia earpods. Let me raise my voice a bit. Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Yes, the angle I can check about this particular violation of human rights is historical, because this one here reminds us of Adolf Hitler. Because Adolf Hitler, even though he was a failed artist, he disapproved of many types of art and exhibitions, and plays as well come under the clause of arts, And this is what I see happening in the state of affairs in Kenya now, that the people who are in power are canceling thinking. You're not allowed to think. When you're a human being, thinking is a major strand of yourself, because there is one philosopher who used to say things like, you think, therefore you are. And for those of you who've done philosophy, the thing was cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So can you imagine there is someone in some house status in Nairobi who is saying, this is the way you should think, this is the way you should not think. And so I applaud Cleophas Malala. Politics aside, I think he's a great man. In fact, I regret so much. How did Malala end up in politics? That man should have just continued with his work in the arts. directing and writing plays, being a successful playwright. Because the information that we can share to challenge the status quo can always be, infiltrated and also made difficult to pass. Like, for example, you can see the mainstream media. These people have a lot of information, but the waste time every day. You watch TV, unaona watu wamekaa hapo panelists, you know what they're going to say. You can predict it. But in the arts or the playwrights, they will go the full hog and explain what is in people's minds. During Jomo Kenyatta's time, he could not stand Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Moi as well. There was things about like when Ngugi wa Thiong'o wrote Ngai Kandenda, I marry when I want. And those kind of plays were seen as a threat to the state. And so I really, really want to applaud, the young people of Butere Girls for the stance they took and the fact that they marched out of that hall after playing, singing or reciting the national anthem. Also, on the historical perspective as well, there was one guy who led this country, the Central African Republic, Jean Bedel Bokassa, from 1966 till 1979 when he was over. But this man, he ruled that country, Central African Republic, from 1966 to 1976. He made himself the emperor for life of Central African Republic. And in 1979, he gave his wife a contract to design and print and mass, like huge quantities, school uniforms that bear the name and picture of Jean Bedel Bokassa. The students and their families, their parents and guardians protested. You know what Bokassa did? He killed 150 young people, primary school kids, 150. Wengine were fed to lions. Now, I find nothing different from what Ruto is doing compared that to Jean Bedel Bokassa of Central African Republic. We have to go back to history and learn lessons. And that's the thing that removed Bokassa from power, that same year of 1979. And so I think that Malala, what he has done should be a domino effect where other, playwrights, authors can fill in the gap that has been left by our so-called mainstream media, the trade unions, kila kitu imekuwa captured. Sasa tuendelee tu na Malala, wasiogope, watu waandike, hata wafanye underground movements through plays, and I think we shall be successful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Neutral. Before I bring in Lala, so there's that angle of the conversation that the government is taking, painting the picture of, Malala is trying to indoctrinate, the girls, the kids, to push a certain political agenda. I don't know what you think about that. Because I felt as an artist, the inspiration that you get at a certain point to make a piece of art, generally comes from what you are going through at that moment in time. So you just paint a picture of that. I don't know what you think.
You see, Douglas, what happened there last year when Kibet Bull was drawing those, the silhouette pictures of Kinaruto and so on, akaeka Ruto kwa coffin and all that. Watu wakasema huyu jamani mshenzi, wengine walisema ati how can you disrespect Ruto? And it's the same thing you hear some people now, especially wale ambao wameingia kwa hiyo sijui broad-based governance, wanamshangilia Ruto even in parliaments. Ati kuna watu leo kwa bunge walikuwa nasema ati Malala is now using the children as a means of making his name. Malala is one of the richest people in Kakamega. You know, that guy is wealthy. He doesn't need to make money. So what are these people talking about? Ati Malala now is trying to make his name and make money. Talking about this, just to play. These kids know what is happening in Kenya. So those people who are making those claims, they should just know that the march is on. Me, I think the revolution is really going at a steady pace. And now the revolution has come through literature, and people will overcome. And I think it's a good dance. I'm telling you, Douglas, that the fact that
Neutral? Oh, it seems like we've lost him. His voice. I don't know if you're still there, Eli. Neutral. I think we've lost you. You've turned off your mic. Okay. Are you there?
I'm here and I can hear you very well.
Okay. Okay, I thought you were still
Douglas,
speaking.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, you can. No. At the moment, if you're still speaking, I think there's something wrong with either your mic or your device. I can't really hear you. Okay. Anyway, I think there's an issue with his either his connection or his gadget. If he's still speaking, so if you're still speaking, I can't hear you at the moment. But in the meantime, maybe I still have Jakindube, but Lala had excused himself, said he needs to go to a meeting. But there's another bite I wanted to play here. In the meantime, then I'll come back and hear contributions. Jakindube and Neutral. Not sure what is happening to his audio. I think we've lost it. But in the meantime, let's just have a look at this. Sorry. Yeah. So let's take a look at this.
Yes, and that's what we want to focus on. Controversy around theatre and performing art runs deep in the history of Kenya, dating as far back as the first and second post-independence administrations when playwrights rubbed governments the wrong way. From Ngugi wa Thiong'o's I Will Marry When I Want to Francis Imbuga's Betrayal in the City, governments have never sat easy in the theatre seats where scriptwriters confront society with some of its most uncomfortable reflections. Emmanuel Tot traces the history of stage-inspired state discomfort.
All the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. An excerpt from William Shakespeare's play, As You Like It, written in 1599. Just like in the controversial Echoes of War play by former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, the playwright was at it again exactly 12 years ago when he penned the Shackles of Doom play, which hit the headlines, forcing the government to pull the plug before the National Secondary Schools Drama Festivals Gala in April 2013 in Mombasa County.
I was just trying to expose the evil deeds that are happening in the society. And so the word shackles of doom came into my mind, and I saw it. It worked so well.
The gripping 48-minute play, which was also staged by Butere Girls High School then, depicted a fictitious community known as the True People of Kana, an allusion to the Turkana community who complained about exploitation by a wealthy community from the Mount Kenya region. It took the intervention of then activist, now Busia Senator Okiya Mtata, to save the play.
I went to court. I challenged the ban, and the ban that time had come right from the ministry. It was in black and white that they were not going to allow the play.
Just over 10 years after the country got its independence, celebrated writer Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o's play, I Will Marry When I Want, which portrayed post-colonial struggles, was shot down as soon as it was staged. Officers in President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta unhappy with its content.
Ulikuwa unaongelea kuhusu mmoja wa kuu sana serikalini wakati huo aliyekuwa mwanasheria Charles Njonjo, ambapo hakuwa ameoa wakati huo. Sasa huu mchezo ulikuwa nikana kwamba unamkashifu ama unamkejeli kwamba nitaoa nikitaka, lakini niko na mamlaka na sasa ukaleta gumzo na ukaleta tumbo joto mpaka yule aliandika ule bwana Ngugi wa Thiong'o akaenda uhamishoni.
The controversial play made a comeback 2 years ago after it was banned again 30 years earlier. And just like his predecessor, Kenya's second president Daniel Toroitich arap Moi also showed his phobia for critical theatre, shooting down the Makwekwe, loosely translated to Weed's play, written by Tim Wandiri. As was practiced those days, the teacher of drama would later lose his job. In 1982, the government slammed brakes on 2 other plays, Visiki, translated to Tribulations and acted by Chepterit Girls School, and Kilio, A Cry, acted by Nairobi School. The list goes on and on. And now the echoes of war, which has sent shockwaves across the nation due to its thought-provoking nature, has faced similar challenges, raising concerns that the country was sliding back to the dark ages.
I still bear scars of Nyayo House, and I will take medicines for life, but that's a small price to pay.
School is not an island. A school is not a silo. A school is part of the community, and you cannot treat it like some silo that is insulated from what is going on in the community.
The history makers calling for the respect of art.
The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We'll need to learn from history, from people who have gone through this, and people who are prepared to remind Ruto that when he was in YK 92, fighting against us, we fought and successfully repealed Section 2A.
Drama is you, art is me. I, as a Munga Hanyalabandu, I cannot run away from myself.
Emmanuel Tor, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Okay, that's just a trip down, memory lane, and just a glimpse of what theater criticism has been like in the past. So, Yagindube.
Inasema sisi nafikiri umeona hiyo history. Umeona hiyo history. Kama ninasema kwamba tuko chini ya bado tunatawaliwa na mabavu. Hebu niambie serikali gani imeshakubaliana, imeshakubali uhuru wa uandishi, uhuru wa yani artist. Unajua artist wanafanya vitu ambavyo ziko wakati huo ama vitu vya historia, kwa sababu hata wanamuziki wanaimba zile vitu ambazo ziko, zile mambo ambayo yanaendelea kwa society, na vitu ambavyo kama ni vitu ambavyo zinafanyika kila siku. Kwa hiyo utakuta hata wanamuziki saa nyingine wanaimba kwa kuonya watu kwa maovu, vitendo fulani. Sasa huyu Malala alikuwa ana mchezo wa kuigiza, ni sawa kabisa, lakini umeona sasa, uniambie serikali gani ambayo president gani wa Kenya ambaye ametuongoza kama Mkenya? Nani? Si Kenyatta, si Moi, si Kibaki, si Uhuru, si Ruto. Wanafanya tu kama vile mzungu alikuwa anafanya, kwa sababu hata wakati wa ukoloni walikuwa wakubali tufanye michezo zingine, walikuwa tukubali tuseme mambo fulani, walikuwa wakubali tulalamike, tukilalamika tunapigwa na teargas. Sasa hii serikali ya sasa imeleta hata kitu mimi sikuwa nimeona maishani mwangu. Imeleta gari ambayo inawatupia wa Kenya maji ambayo ni ya sumu, maji ambao wazungu walikuwa wanatupia watu. Nilikuwa naona tu South Africa wakitupia maji ya sumu. Sasa hiyo unafanyia wenzako, hiyo uhuru iko wapi? Unafanyaje wenzako? Inakuwaje vitu wazungu walikuwa wanatufanyia bado tunafanyiwa the same thing? So ndio maana ninasema kwamba sisi kusema kweli hatujajua ni kitu gani, uhuru gani hiyo tunataka, ama demokrasia gani hiyo ambayo tunataka. Wakenya hawajui, kwa sababu ndio maana wanakubali kuwa terrorized vile tunakuwa terrorized hivi na hawa jamaa. Manake mtu nimesikia akisema Malala, ukitaka kuwa tajiri lazima uwe mbunge. Uwe mbunge au uwe seneta, ndio utapatiwa gari kubwa na kila kitu kubwa. Hakuna mfanyabiashara tajiri kama hawa wabunge. So ni hali ya kusikitisha sana kuona kwamba bado tuko chini ya utawala wa kihimla, utawala wa kimabavu. Ni sawa tu kama vile wazungu walikuwa wanatawala, ndio bado tuko. So naona kwamba mtu ambaye anaweza kuniambia kwamba tumeendelea aniambie, manake mimi sioni. Tuko pale pale, lakini tunajidanganya, tunasema sisi tuko na demokrasia, kwa nini lazima mtu aende kotini? Tunaenda kufanya nini kotini? Haki zetu. Wakati wa wazungu ndio tulikuwa tunaweza kufanya hivyo kwa sababu walikuwa wanatunyima, lakini sasa hiyo haki uhuru ilikuwa ni ya nini basi? Kama hiyo haki bado lazima ukio mtata kimbie kotini kwenda kusema hapana, haiwezekani namna hii. Kwani wale Ruto mwenyewe hajui kwamba tuna hiyo katiba ambayo alisema anaiheshimu inasema nini? So mimi kitu ninachosema ni kwamba lazima sisi wa Kenya as a whole, as a community, tuamke. Tukitaka kukaa vizuri lazima tuamke, tuache hii mambo ya kungoja hao politician ambao wanasema, hao ambao wanajiita wabunge, president. Hawa watu hakuna kitu watatuletea, bado watatunyanyasa tu kama vile wazungu walikuwa wanatunyanyasa. Asante sana.
Asante Jakindube. Okay, thank you for that, Jakindube. Jakindube?
Yes.
Kuna mtu hapa alikuwa anasema criticizing the government is a good thing, but not using kids to achieve personal interest. That's where I disagree with some people here. Sijui una maoni gani kwa hiyo comment?
Watoto walikuwa au ambao anawaita watoto, si watoto wanaona, kwani watoto hawahitaji school fees, watoto hawahitaji kwenda hospitali. Hizi vitu zote watoto wanaona. Watoto si wanaona vile baba zao wanasumbuliwa? Kwani hao watoto ni watoto wa secondary school hawajui kitu gani inafanyika? Hizo ndizo vitu. Watu wenye maneno kama hayo ni watu ambao wanakubali utawala wa kikoloni. Kitu gani? Hata nyumbani kwako watoto hawasemi, watoto hawezi kulalamika kwamba wanataka kitu fulani. Hiyo demokrasia yao hiyo ndio gani? Hii ilikuwa ni mchezo, na hiyo mchezo ndio wanasema kitu ambacho lazima tu challenge. Yeah? Lazima tu challenge. Sasa wanamuziki, je, si hata wanamuziki wanaimba nyimbo zingine za kupinga? Hata watoto kwa nini hawaruhusiwi kupinga kitu? Watoto kwanza walikuwa wapingi, wao wanafanya tu mchezo. Mchezaji wa sinema, mtu akiandika vitu vya sinema, mchezo wa sinema, na mtu aende kufanya wale wachezaji wa kucheza hiyo, ni wao ndio wameandika hiyo. Wao ni wanacheza tu, hawajaandika hiyo. So kusema eti ni political, eti nani wangeenda kucheza? Sisi wazee? Acha hiyo upuzi. Mimi watu kama hao sikubaliani. Mimi mtu kama huyo sikubaliani na yeye, kwa sababu hiyo demokrasia ambao wanataka ni gani? Yeah, hiyo ni gani ambayo hauruhusiwi? Na hata kama watoto hao hata kama ni watoto, mbona walikuwa wanaenda kupigwa na teargas ya nini? Watoto wanapigwa na teargas kwa nini? Mbona hawakuenda ku edit? Mbona hiyo serikali haikuenda ika-edit zile vitu hawataki? Au kusema tu basi hii kitu haitachezwa, kwa mpaka upige watoto na teargas? What's wrong? Kuna kitu mbaya na sisi, na sisi wananchi wengine tunakubali hivyo. Kwani hawawezi tu kwenda waseme hii mchezo hatutaruhusu hii mchezo kuendelea. Serikali imesema hairuhusu, kuna ubaya wa hii na hii na hii na hii. Basi, lakini sio kwenda tena kupiga watoto na teargas. Kwani kama wangeenda waseme hii mchezo haifanywi, watoto hao wangefanya na nguvu? Au Malala angefanya na nguvu? Hawezi kufanya na nguvu. Kama akiambiwa hii mchezo haitafanyika basi. Lakini sasa kwenda pale kuleta fujo ile, kupiga watoto na teargas, sijui Malala anashikiwa nini? Ukimshika Malala ni kusema kwamba kuna vitu ambavyo wewe mwenyewe unajua ni mbaya, kwa hiyo hutaki watu waseme, na hiyo ni dictatorship. So mimi nasema kitendo kama hiyo, mtu ambaye anasema kwamba hatuwezi kusema eti si watoto, basi tu wangeenda tu wakataze, basi waseme hii mchezo haiwezi kwenda, badala ya kuwapiga tena. Asante sana. Nataka kufanya kitu kidogo ndio nirudi baadaye.
Okay, asante Jakindube for that contribution rather. Lakini naona also amekujibu, anasema Jakindube, the writer wrote what you want to hear. That's your right, but where I personally disagree with you is the platform used by the politicians. Why did the kids not come up with it without a politician with an agenda like Malala? But I think I've taken you through a synopsis, an overview, like a story done on that play, and I don't know if you've watched Shosam, honestly, because it's a reflection of really the times. It dives deeper, not just the government. our society in general, the disconnect between the older generations, the younger generations, I think it reflects exactly what we talk about, what we feel as a society. And I think Komtata has answered you on your concerns with schools being used. He's told you a school is not a silo. It's not insulated. A school is part of the society. Actually, society is made of schools, hospitals, the government, businesses. All those are aspects of a society. So when you say that a certain segment of a society should be shielded from, conversation that affects them, I think that is what we can call, we should actually call censorship, that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, politics, and especially politics, affects us all. Whether you are 90 and you are too old to meaningfully participate economically, or you are 6 and too young to meaningfully participate economically in the society, politics will still affect your life. So I think we just need to be attuned to what is going on. But there's something really interesting I came across. So this play that you're talking about, it's not the first piece of literature that criticizes government. I think we've all been to high school and we've done set books. So most of those set books, especially the plays, they're usually critical of the injustices and the wrongs that happen in our society. I did Betrayal in the City, and Staiki Mea. I think that was done by Francis Imbuga, and those two set books are just a reflection. They were critical of the times, of the injustices that are done by the government. And I think right now the schools are doing a book, the set book. It's called Fathers of Nations. So Fathers of Nations talks about the African continent in general, and how the African dream of uniting around one cause to get the African people, to lift the African people out of poverty. Generally, the things that Jakindube has been talking about is sabotaged by by outside forces who infiltrate the conversation and corrupt the conversation, and just push an agenda. And at the end of the day, Fathers of Nations are technically the leaders of the African countries, the 54 African countries. And at the end of the day, so they are to sign one agreement that is a master plan for lifting, for turning the fortune of the African continent around. And at the end of the book, they can't agree. They end up signing something else, and it's just an artistic way of telling what actually goes on and how it hinders the progress of Africa. And that's generally the work of art. Even those kids in kindergarten, the books that they read, they have an impact on on how they think and how they perceive society at the end of the day. So I think that's the role of art. It's just to reflect the times and just to show you, because sometimes we are too busy doing our own lives, and we don't really take time to sit down and process what impact we are really having in the society, the people around us. But there's that piece I was looking for. I don't know if I'll find it in time. It was on just a moment. In the meantime, I think I'll play you one last bite because I'm edging closer to my close since Lala and everyone else who was here slept. So there's also I'm saying, do you want to tell me that the kids are not creative to do it with their teachers without a political influence? Do you think if the teachers could have written it, we could have been here with unnecessary drama? I'm not sure if Osam went to high school because his angle of thought is wanting. Because I did drama. Yes, there's a play we did early on, and but we didn't advance it past the sub-county level because it was done by us. So it's there's just something about getting a play that is done professionally. So you hire someone who that is what they do. So they write really good plays and they direct the plays. So the schools that have more money, basically the national schools, they hire experienced playwrights and directors. That is why, if that's the question you're asking. All those schools that are at the national, I guarantee you the plays they are doing, they didn't write them themselves. And Malala was a playwright way before he was a politician. So when you say that he's a politician and he shouldn't be writing plays for high school, you should just remember that he was writing plays for high school. And I think Neutral has told us he has written, was it Neutral or Molo? Over 80 plays. So that is, I think that settles it. So there was this excerpt from Kifo Kisimani. I came across it on Twitter. So it was posted by an ex-handle at Senior Goodman, who says, Kifo Kisimani was ahead of time. Watoto wa Butere wasikubaliwe kuperform Echoes of War pale Nakuru na askari 50. Okay, that's his caption, but this is the excerpt. So Mtem Bokono, I never did Kifo Kisimani. Nilipata kama ishapita. This was way before I joined high school. But for those of you who did Kifo Kisimani, I think when I say Mtem Bokono, that rings a bell. But this is what he says. He said in the book, watoto wasikubaliwe kuigiza mchezo huo kwa sababu unaadhiri umaarufu wa mtukufu Mtemi Bokono. Askari wasimruhusu mwandishi katika eneo la kuigiza kwa sababu ya amri ya mahakama ambayo lazima ionekane kama ifuatwa. Naagiza huo mchezo ufanywe saa 12 alfajiri kabla wananchi hawajaamka. Wapiga picha na wanahabari wasiruhusiwe ndani. Hivyo tutakuwa tumepunguza umaarufu wa mchezo huo na sifa ya Mtemi itabaki milele. Well, that's an excerpt from Kifo Kisimani. Again, I say I never did that book, but I think that's that was a foresight to what transpired today because it happened the same way. But one question is, if the government is really doing the right thing, why do they need to do it in darkness? Because they locked out the media, they told, they closed the venue from journalists so that they wouldn't, capture what was happening in the, inside that hall. So you only do things in darkness if you're doing the wrong thing. So as much as they would want to push this propaganda, I think that's just what it is. It's propaganda. And, I think we can discern beyond that. But anyway, I'm going to play one last bite, then I'll come back and we begin to call it a wrap. So I think which one best suits at this. Just a moment. I think, yeah, let's play this one. Okay.
Journalists covering the drama surrounding the controversial Echoes of War play were caught in the crosshairs of police hostility. Moments before the arrest of former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, the playwright, officers lobbed tear gas at the media, disrupting live broadcasts. The attack, which lasted for 4 tense hours outside Boycott Girls High School, left 3 journalists injured. This latest assault highlights a growing trend of journalists being targeted while on duty. Police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga confirmed the incident is under investigation, as Gatete Njoroge now reports.
Wednesday night and the air in Rongai, Nakuru County is thick with white smoke. Police officers stand firm, determined to block journalists from covering the arrest of former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, lobbing tear gas in an attempt to disperse the media. Undeterred, journalists scramble for cover, all the while keeping their cameras rolling, capturing every tense moment as the officers move in. The drama began when Cleophas Malala, playwright of Echoes of War, arrived at Kirobon Girls High School for a rehearsal ahead of their Thursday morning performance. But his plans quickly unraveled as police blocked his vehicle, and the former ruling party Secretary General was arrested under unclear circumstances. Marianne! What really sparked tension, however, was the presence of the media. In the chaos that followed, 3 journalists were injured, including Citizen TV's Marianne Nyambura, Inoro TV's Robert Maina, and Standard Group's Peter Kimani.
I was watching Citizen News. I was touched by the brutality the police were handling the journalists, particularly a lady who was carrying live news, live Citizen. The girl was tear gassed 3 times. We are going to raise this matter. I'm going to request for a statement from the minister to explain.
The 3 journalists who sustained soft tissue injuries were rushed to the hospital, treated, and later discharged. In a statement, police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga condemned the assault on journalists, labeling it as a criminal act. He assured the public that the incident is under investigation and that any officer found guilty of misconduct would face consequences. Yet, this response has become all too familiar as security forces continue to target journalists in the course of their duty, an alarming trend that raises serious concerns about press freedom. Back in December, a team of journalists from Citizen TV and TV47 fell victim to police excesses outside the DCI headquarters. Their assignment to cover politicians linked to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who had been summoned, quickly turned hostile. Officers confiscated their equipment and phones, leaving the journalists with DCI boss Mohammed Amin later apologized. However, the apology has done little to quell growing concerns over the treatment of the press. Anti-government protest in July last year, K24 journalist Wanjeri Kariuki was shot 3 times, allegedly targeted by a police officer while covering the demonstrations. It took her over 3 months to recover before she could return to her duties. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Well, welcome back. And Jackie Lube, je kama una jambo la ziada? Jackie Lube is still there? Okay. I think he's not close to his gadget at the moment.
Umesikia hiyo sasa hiyo maana yake ni nini? Hiyo maana yake ni nini? Polisi wanashambulia waandishi wa magazeti. Umeona katika nchi, umeona Amerika au Uingereza au France ama hizi nchi ama China ama umeona nani ama Japan ama umeona waandishi kama kuna kitu waandishi wanafukuzwa na polisi? Yeah. Umeona? Hakuna. Ndio maana nasema nchi yetu ni nchi ambayo bado inaongozwa na utawala wa kimabavu. Hakuna demokrasia ambayo tunasema tunayo hata kidogo. Hakuna. Mimi nakataa, manake hakuna mtu anayeweza kunionyesha kitu kimoja ile ilikuwa inafanywa na wabeberu na sahihi haifanywi. Hakuna. Ni kwamba hao wabeberu hawapo. Wabeberu walikuwa wazungu ndio wako, lakini wale wa Afrika ambao wako ni wabaya kuliko hata hao wabeberu. Yeah? Wanafanya vitendo vingine, ukiangalia wanaua wenzao bure, nothing. Wanaua wenzao tu kama vile South Africa ilikuwa inafanya. Unawezaje kufiatua risasi eti kwa sababu wenzako wana protest? Sasa polisi wanafiatua risasi wanaua. Hiyo maana yake nini? Unaua wenzako eti kwa sababu wana protest. Hiyo ni kukosa, ni hali mbaya sana. Ni hali yani sijui mimi naweza kuisema namna gani, lakini naona hiyo ni the lowest of the low, kwa sababu hiyo ni kusema mmepoteza nani yenu kabisa, hekima imeisha, na ubinadamu wenu umeisha, na undugu wenu umeisha. Na hata hiyo kusema eti mnataka nchi yenu Afrika huo hakuna. Kwa sababu sasa kama unaua wenzako tu kama vile hakuna vita, watu wenzako watu wa nchi yako ambao unatakiwa uwalinde wanalalamika juu ya kitu fulani, ati sisi tunashindwa kukaa na wao kusikiliza kwamba hao wanasema hivi, basi tukae chini tutatue. Kwa nini watu wetu mpaka tuwapige tu na marisasi? Au huwezi kukaa nao chini, huwezi kusikiza vile wanasema, na wao ndio wamekuchagua uwafanyie kazi. Sasa hiyo kazi ambayo unafanya ni gani? Unasema umechaguliwa, unachaguliwa na hao wamekuchagua, wakilalamika wakisema hapana tutaki kitu fulani, unafanya na nguvu. Hiyo ni gani? Hiyo ni, unaona? So hizi serikali zetu, hasa tuniseme serikali hizi za Kenya, tangu tupate uhuru, umesikia, umeona hiyo jamaa amepeana history. Kama Jakindu Bey anasema, mnasema labda anaongeza na uongo, labda niko bias. Ameanza na ya Kenyatta, na ya Moi, na ya Kibaki, na ya Uhuru, na ya Ruto. Hakuna moja inakubali kwamba kuna uhuru wa kusema na wa kudemonstrate. Hakuna. Ulikuwa ukijaribu kudemonstrate wakati wa Kibaki, mnakula risasi. Wakati wa Moi, mnakula risasi. Wakati wa Uhuru, mnakula risasi. Wakati wa Ruto, mnakula risasi. Sasa iko wapi demokrasia gani hiyo? Mimi sijaona watu hapa wanapigwa na risasi eti wamedemonstrate. Sijaona. Hata Amerika saa zingine wanafanya riot, wanachoma manyumba, wanachoma mabendera. Usikie eti mtu amepigwa risasi kwa sababu alikuwa ana riot. Usikii kitu kama hiyo. Na Waamerika wana bunduki, kila polisi ana bunduki. Usikii wameshoot watu eti kwa sababu walikuwa wana demonstrate. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Lakini kwetu tunaua watu wetu, watoto. Tunaua watoto. Saa hii yule jamaa alikuwa anasema eti watoto hawafai, na wao wanaua mtoto kama anaenda ametoka shule. Watoto wangapi wameuawa namna hiyo kama kuna demonstration? Mbona polisi hawaangalie waseme kuna watoto wanatoka shule, usipige risasi? So mimi nasema lazima Wakenya tuamke. Wakenya tuamke, tuache kukaa chini ya ukoloni. Hii ukoloni tumekaa miaka tulidanganywa eti tumepewa uhuru, bado tuko na ukoloni. Inatakiwa tupate uhuru wa kweli, kwa sababu hata tunapotapo mapresident hawa tumechagua mapresident ambao walikuwa home guard wote. Hakuna mmoja ambaye amekuwa ambaye anataka mageuzi, ambaye anataka change. Hakuna. Wote ni wale walikuwa wanataka tu status quo. So hiyo inatakiwa Wakenya waamke, tuchague mtu ambaye tumekuwa wakiwa wanachampionia mageuzi. Mageuzi. Tunataka mtu ambaye anataka change, ambaye amekuwa akipigania change, ndio tuone kama atakuwa kama hawa. Asante sana.
Okay, asante Jakindube, nakubaliana na wewe kabisa. Wakenya lazima tuamke. And I think that the fight has to be fought from all quarters. So tukishinda tukisema wakati wahubiri wanaongea dhidi ya serikali na all these injustices, you criticize them. When artists do so, you criticize them. When Gen Zs rise to fight those injustices, you criticize them. When activists like Kokia Umtata and all these people rise to fight, you criticize them and say that they lack the political muscle and that sort of thing. In opposition, guys, the people who are still in opposition rise to fight against those injustices. People like Eugene Omalo and Kalonzo and all those people, you label them as just people who are seeking political sympathy. Then how are we really going to push back?
Unajua hiyo mtindo iko tu kama ukiuliza watu wa dini, ukiuliza kitu wanasema hapana, mambo ya wanasemaga mambo ya religion, hawataki kila mtu na religion yake, hawataki kuulizwa maswali. Ukitaka kuuliza swali tayari unaambiwa hapana, mambo ya belief ya mtu haulizi maswali. Sasa ulizi maswali namna gani? Hiyo dini Biblia ni ya watu. Inatakikana kama ni kweli ni kitu inasema ukweli, inatakiwa iwe wazi. Unaweza kuuliza swali, hauwezi kuuliza swali. Ukiuliza swali wanasema hapana, mambo ya Mungu, mambo ya dini hatuzungumzii hapa. Unakatazwa kabisa. Sasa hiyo kama hii serikali yetu hauwezi hawa mapresident wametawala, ni kwamba huwezi kuuliza, huwezi kulalamika, huwezi kuuliza swali. Huwezi. Kama nasema uongo ni kweli. Mambo ya kidini hizi, mambo unasema Wakristo ama Waislamu, huwezi kuuliza swali, huwezi kusema mbona hii kitu inafanyika hivi. Ukisema hivyo unaambiwa hapana, huwezi kuuliza swali kama hii. Hapa hatuzungumzi mambo ya dini. Unaona? Na yet hizo vitu zote hizo vitu ndio wanataka tufuate. Wanasema zile commandment 10 zinasema usiibe, usifanye kitu fulani, usifanye. Lakini ukitaka kuuliza swali, kwa sababu unasema kuiba ni mbaya, lakini ukitaka kuuliza swali juu ya hizo unaambiwa hapana, lakini hiyo sheria unatakiwa ufuate. Sasa hiyo ni kama hii serikali yetu tu. Huwezi kuuliza swali. huwezi kulalamika, utafanya vile wanataka. That's hiyo mimi sikubaliani naye hata kidogo. Na hii inatakiwa watu waamke, Wakenya waamke. Angalia kama hizi Biblia ama Quran zimetafsiriwa kwa lugha zote. Kama Kenya ukija, zimetafsiriwa kwa hizo makabila zote. Biblia iko kwa ya Kijaluo, ya Kinandi, ya Kibukusu, ya Kinini, lakini geography hakuna, history hakuna, imetranslatiwa kwa lugha zetu hakuna, science hakuna, history hakuna, imetranslatiwa na ile imeandikwa na lugha zetu hakuna. Lakini Biblia mbona inaandikwa na lugha yetu? Mbona Biblia tu ndio inaandikwa na lugha na hizi zingine haziandikwi? Ukiuliza swali kama hiyo unaambiwa hapana. Huwezi kuuliza imani ya mtu. Sasa sio imani ya mtu, unauliza tu. Ukienda kwetu utakuta makanisa 100, lakini bank hakuna bank hata moja. Mtaendelea namna gani? Hakuna bank, lakini kwa hiyo kijiji kuna kanisa 20 au 30, lakini bank hakuna. Na huwezi kuuliza swali. Sasa ni kama hii serikali, hakuna maendeleo pale, hakuna hata barabara, hakuna hata nini, lakini ukiuliza unaambiwa usiulize, serikali na maendeleo yake. Sasa hiyo ni jambo ambalo inatakiwa Wakenya waamke. Wakenya waamke. Asante sana.
Okay, asante Jakindube. I think that settles the whole debate about today. So, at the end of the day, art is art, and you cannot control what society should think and what artists should paint, because artists just express themselves as they feel the world around them. Artists are like sponges, and they just absorb what is happening around them and they paint that picture. But at that, I think it's time for me to wrap this up. It's been a fruitful conversation. We've had Lala and Omolo and Eli Kie Neutral of Belfast, who had an issue with his connection, but nonetheless we had a chance to hear his contribution from there. And all those of you who are in the comment section, Sami Costa hapo anasema tumekuwa Uganda. Habari zenu watu wote, watu wa Uganda. Welcome to Uganda. That's Sami Costa. Nasema tumegeuka Uganda. Lala coming back here. Where else? Okay, I'll just take that as my final take. First, I wanted just to, I think most of these comments have been sampling them as we moved on with the conversation. Awesome engages with the conversation from the comment section. I still appreciate you that, in as much as most of your takes are a little bit controversial, and but I still appreciate that engagement from the comment section. I think he was answering me, when he went to high school, saying he was in high school 35 years ago. Wait, what? 35 years ago? Well, anyway. So alikuwa anasema Jakindube, throwing rocks at police officers comes with consequences. Jakindube, do your research properly. Any violence is met with strict response. I think we need to separate between, response and excesses. What's the point of going to throw tear gas at a school drama festival? I mean, it's just a drama festival. It's harmless. Why should you show up there armed with guns and tear gas? They're just kids. They're not even protesting. They're just doing their plays. I mean, what level of insecurity could that really be?
Unasikia hiyo mafikara ya huyo jamani ya kikoloni ni authoritative, kwa sababu kabla ya watu kuprotest huwa bado wanalalamika kabla hawajaenda barabarani kuprotest. Kwa nini hawasikilizwi kabla hawajaenda huko barabarani? Kwa nini waiti waseme haya, semeni kile kitu problem ambayo ipo tuitatue? Kwa nini mnaacha mpaka wapatwe na hasira waende barabarani? Why? Ni kwa sababu ya uvivu. Kama mtu huna responsibility, mtu anasema, analalamika, anasikia kitu fulani inamuumiza, mbona haukuchukui time mkae chini mtatue hiyo, usikilize wanasema nini? Kwa sababu hakuna mtu anaweza tu kuprotest from nothing alafu unasema ni violent. Hawa watu kama hao ni wakoloni tu. Umesikia fikara kama hizo ni za kikoloni, kwa sababu inaonyesha wewe huwezi kulalamika. You can't complain. Utasema vipi? Where do you utasemaje ndio akubali? How? Saa zile mnalalamika, wakati ule kama mfano tulisema, kwa mfano Wakenya wote walisema hatutaki hii mambo ya budget hii ambayo mmefanya. Mbona serikali haisikizi? Na ni wao wananchi ndio wamewachagua, mbona wasikizi? Wanangoja mpaka wananchi wasikie. Sasa hatuna jambo lingine, tunaenda kuprotest. Na hiyo kuprotest iko kwa katiba. Iko kwa katiba. Katiba haisemi eti watu wakiprotest muje na bunduki muwapige. Iko wapi? Unaona, unasikia fikara kama za huyu mtu. Hiyo ndio maana nakwambia mafikara zetu ni za kikoloni. Hata sisi lazima tugeuze. Uwezi kufanya vitu ambavyo ulikuwa unafanywa na mtu anakutesa, alafu na wewe unakuja kutesa wenzako, badala ya kutafuta njia mbadili ya kusuluhisha problem ambayo wanayo wenzako, kwa sababu hiyo protest iko kwa constitution. Yeah. Sasa wanataka watu wafanye nini? Njia gani utatumia ndio na hao watu una protest kwa mtu ambaye ndio wewe, sisi ndio tumewachagua. Alafu huyo badala ya kusikia malalamiko yenu, yeye anawaambia polisi waje wapige bunduki. Hata watoto, kwani wale watoto wametupa nini hao watoto? Achana na asante sana, but mafikara kama hiyo unasikia ni mafikara ya kikoloni
yaliyopitwa na wakati. Lala.
Asante Douglas na Jekindu Bay. Nilikuwa nimeondoka kidogo, tulikuwa na ordination, sasa nimetoka huko na sikuwa nanyi kusikiza wenzetu wakishangilia mjadala, lakini nakubaliana nanyi kabisa kwamba ni kama wanadamu, see, there are some things that are expected of a human being. Okay, we are human being from Christianity, yani religion, kwamba somebody made us and he made us in his likeness, and for us we believe is God and this Christ came to save us. So there's something about a human being that is different from animals. You see, animals don't have the capacity of the brain power that we have as human beings. Supposedly, that's what we are aware of, that they cannot be human being, and a human being, we preach or we teach or we know that we are made in the image of God. So there is an expectation yani kwetu kama wanadamu ambaye lazima iwe tofauti na wanyama. Lakini mimi nashangaa kazi yangu moja na ama scuba diver, and a scuba diver watu wanafikiria under the sea is dangerous, but I tell you, when you are under the ocean, maybe Atlantic and Pacific, and I've been to some of those deep underneath the ocean, I'm telling you, it is beautiful. The so-called sharks and all these bad animals we hear about, creatures, down there, they are the most peaceful things. They come and check you out, and then they just, swim away. In other words, it is more peaceful down there because there's a respect of each other. Each group. In fact, you go in there, you're cute. They're curious because you're putting on these gears, and so they just want to know who this person is. Ukisikia shark attacks, those shark attacks happen where people are swimming, where people are threatening to them. That's when they can attack people. But deep under the ocean, they're very peaceful. So at times I wonder if Kenyans can argue that tear gas ni kitu ambacho kinaweza kubalika kwa watoto ambao hawana threat yoyote, hawajatumia hata knife ama bunduki, and unakuja unaleta tear gas. In fact, siku hii ya leo, kama serikali inafanya kazi, kila mmoja hao polisi na yule aliyetoa amri wangekuwa ndani. And the fact that hawajafanya chochote inaonyesha kwamba hii pengine imetoka kwa watu wakubwa. So you can see it is Malala and some other people there who are so insecure doing these things. So to me, I'm embarrassed. It is shameful. It shows the government is dysfunctional, because these are things that if you have an interest in a play, vile Jakindube na nilisema mwanzoni, ni lazima fanya nini, hata kama ungetaka kujua vitu gani, unakuja unaweza kufanya marekebisho kidogo, ili kama kuna lugha fulani ama scene fulani ambayo pengine inaleta mambo fulani mabaya, inabadilishwa ili hiyo creativity ya huyu ameandika hiyo play is shared, because that's how we learn. So this man now, who was very creative, in fact, Malala's done a lot of good to the mind of our young people. Yani ndio inatakikana watu kama hao wafanye nini, waandike, wengine wafundishe, wengine wana mambo mengi ambayo inaweza kufanya nini, tujenga kama nchi. Manake tulikuwa tunafanya nini, tuna borrowing vitu vya kigeni, yani kiukoloni tulikuwa tunapenda nguo vile tunavaa, lugha ile tunazungumza ni lugha ya kigeni. Naona na sisi na watu wengine hata waoni kama mtu Mkenya amesema anataka kufanya play kama huyu jamaa. Kama kuna shida, unaondoa those areas ambazo unaweza badilisha kidogo, but then you allow our young people to do their thing. And again, the way we are treating vijana, our young people, I think it shows short-sightedness. It shows that we are not developed, that we are still not even Stone Age, because Stone Age has their own structure. We don't know where we are going. Hatui mbele ama nyuma, hatujui. Na hiyo inaonyesha kwamba tunahitaji ukombozi wa kiakili, kisiasa, kimawazo. Tunahitaji ukombozi kabisa, ili tuwe watu ambao wana utu. Manake vile mfanyika, every Kenya lazima tukemee kabisa, condemn it the strongest term. You cannot throw tear gas on our kids and they're traumatized. Trauma, the word is trauma. It means those kids are maimed for life. They'll never forget. You really put a scar on those children's lives, and it's the government, the one that's supposed to protect them, is one injuring them. And the play that's supposed to help them think, be better, Kenyans, they are told, the opposite. Mimi nimekasirika sana. Back to you, Douglas. Asante.
Okay, thank you, Lala, for that. And I think
and I need to go. We have a tragedy. Yuweza kuwaombea. Yani, we have some couple deaths here in Kenya. One family have lost 2 people, so I have to step into that meeting. So mbarikiweni, asanteni sana. God bless.
Douglas, hakuna demonstration ambayo ina fujo. Sijaona. Hakuna. Wale watu wana fujo ni serikali ndio ina fujo. Kwa sababu serikali inatakikana, polisi wakiona watu wana demonstrate, wanatakiwa wasimame kando ya barabara kuwa protect na kuprotect wale watu ambao wa demonstrate. Inatakiwa wafanye hivyo. Polisi hawafanyagi hivyo. Polisi ndio wenye kuleta fujo. Polisi ndio demonstration zote. Mimi nakwambia nimeshahusika na demonstration nyingi. Demonstration huwa wana fujo. Polisi ndio wanaletaga fujo kwa kutupa tear gas ndani ya watu. Ukitupa tear gas kwa watu, unajua huko watu ukisha tupa tear gas, wale wahalifu wanachukua nafasi ya hiyo. Unaona? Sasa usipotupa tear gas, hakuna mtu anafanya fujo. Lakini polisi ndio hufanya hivyo zote. Hata mkifanya mgomo kazini, polisi watakuja huko msipochunga. Mimi nishaona migomo miwili. Tulikuwa tumegoma wakati mmoja, tunataka kuzungumza na management, polisi walikuja, lakini uzuri tulifunga gate, hawakuweza kuingia ndani. Kwa sababu kama wangeingia ndani, wangefanya vitu vingi sana zingeharibika. Tulijua hapo kazini kwetu tulikuwa na vitu ambazo zenye gharama, vitu zenye zinaweza kutoa moto, tukafunga.
Yes.
So hiyo
yes. Jakindo bado upo? Okay, Jakindo bado upo? I think Jakindo we've lost his audio. Lala had given us a heads up. He says they have a crisis. They have a crisis meeting. They're handling some tragedy. I think just keep those Kenyans. Anasema ni wa Kenya. Didn't get exactly what happened, but I think it's a crisis and they have some deaths. So just keep them in our prayers as they tackle that. Thank you, Jakindo Bay. Although I'm a dropout, thank you for joining the conversation and participating, and everyone else who was here. Lala was with me from the start, although he's in the middle of of a very busy evening, but nonetheless, you was here to join us in the show. We don't take that for granted. Thank you, Lala, and Neutral Belfast, KL, and Omolo Molo, who joined me in the conversation. Thank you for that. Don't take that for granted. Awesome to engaging with me in the comments and everyone else there. Sammy Costa and Esther Stahl, Big J. I think I won't read your comments. I had already read them. Just one person I would want to appreciate here, and that is Tuni Mohamud, who is always helping me put the show together from the background. She says, great show, Douglas. Thank you, Tuni. See you tomorrow. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in to the show. If you've not subscribed and you're here, if you're watching this and you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe right now. Sound Candy Talk Live is our main channel, although we have a backup channel. So I suggest you subscribe to both. Just to avoid the inevitable. We lost our first channel one, so that's why you have a backup. So I suggest you subscribe to both, and I will appreciate. Give me a thumbs up. How many likes do I have there? 3. What? Okay. So my poll question was out. Likuwa nauliza echoes of war, artistic freedom or political exploitation. So that had formed the conversation all over the internet today, and that formed my poll question. 48 votes at the end of the poll. 67% of you think it's artistic freedom, while 33% of you think it's just political exploitation. Well, that's we take. That's what you think. But at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that art, holds the mirror up. The job of an artist is not to paint, to add color or anything. Just paint what is really happening in our society. So even the crazy music, we say that our Kenyan music is crazy, especially mziki wa kizazi kipya. But that's just how our society is at the moment. That is what people want to listen to, because that is what resonates with them. So at the end of the day, art is there, and no matter how much this oppressive regime might try to censor it, and so so Awesome says that one thing I know as a leader, you cannot please the whole country, and that's why protests are there in every country. I think it's Barack Obama who says democracy means that one person is always complaining, but there's a thick line between freedom of speech and lack of it at all. So what you saw today is censorship. It's shooting down that freedom of speech and expression. That is not about pleasing one side. I mean, if you can't please everybody, then you let whoever doesn't feel like you're pleasing them in any way, say what they want to say. But if you feel the need to go and shut them down, shut them off, tell them you can't say this and that, then that is what oppression basically looks like. And that's just my take. So I think with that, we've come to the end of the show. I think I'll just close by reading that synopsis once more, and this is how it went. So the play, I think you need to look for that play. It's all over the internet. Is how many pages? Damn, it's long. 41 pages. I have it here. I'll just read the synopsis of that. So this is how the play opens. There exists a cultural balance between respect for the old and care for the young. Those who are old bring experience, while those who are young bring enthusiasm and creative innovation. This is the relationship that weaves together our ever-evolving society. This play is a hyperbole attempt to illustrate the widening gap between two generations, the old and the young. The artistic context is set in the Royal Velvet Emirates, a fictitious kingdom in the Middle East. In this kingdom, the old have quickly lost trust of the younger generation. The young are agitated by the inflexible strictness of the old. The balance is an inevitable compromise. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the show. See you on the other side. My name is Douglas.